Woke media loses it as Disney cancels Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy. And yes, I'm still reporting on this. So welcome back to Views with Hughes, agenda-free news. This is Jerome Hughes. Now, let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, today I want to talk or dive more into the topic that's been making waves, something we all saw coming miles away. You know, it's about Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy. And let me tell you something. This news is still big, okay? Disney and Lucasfilm have officially canceled Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy, as you all know. Now, for some of us, this isn't surprising at all, but for others, well, they're having a bit of a meltdown right now, and that's what we're all here to talk about today. Now, before we begin, let's go ahead and be sure to smash the like button to the video and subscribe to the channel and share this video far wide across social media. All right, so let's start with the basics, okay? Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy was one of those worst projects that had a lot of people talking, but not necessarily for the right reasons, you know. From the beginning, Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy wasn't a series that was designed to cater to the core Star Wars fan base. This was something else entirely. Star Wars The Acolyte, by Leslye Headland and Kathleen Kennedy was created to appeal to a very specific, very vocal minority audience that has over the years convinced itself that it's the real heart of the Star Wars fandom. But we all know that that was false, okay? But let's not get ahead of ourselves. See, the big news here is that Disney has pulled the plug on Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland and Kathleen Kennedy. And you know what? Despite all the hype, despite all the discussions about a possible second season, the reality hit them hard. And they saw the numbers for Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland and Kathleen Kennedy as it was low. Now, they saw the viewership stats, the audience scores all low, and they knew that there was no way they could justify continuing Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland and Kathleen Kennedy, okay? And it's over. It's done. And quite frankly, it should be, all right? Now, some people are wondering why a project like Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy with all the backing of Disney and Lucasfilm could fail so spectacularly. Well, the answer is simple. Nobody watched the Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy, except for those who are reviewing it, as well as those who are shilling it, and those were people low in numbers. But the viewership has been abysmal, the lowest of any Disney Star Wars series to date. And this is not just me saying it. This is what the numbers also show. Now, as for the audience reception, you know, Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy received the lowest audience score of any Star Wars project in history. Now, think about that. We're talking about a franchise that has been around for decades, okay, with movies, shows, and characters that have become cultural icons. And yet, Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland and Kathleen Kennedy managed to hit rock bottom. Why? Because Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland and Kathleen Kennedy was out of touch with what Star Wars fans actually want. And that right there is not surprising. Now, here's where things also get interesting. You see, and this is no surprise, the woke media played a massive role in this disaster. You know, the woke media everywhere tried to convince everyone that Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy was a success. And the woke media ran defense for it. They gaslit all the fans, and woke media pushed a narrative that just didn't hold up. And woke media wanted you to believe that this was the next big thing in Star Wars, that it was critically acclaimed and beloved by fans. But the truth was out there for anyone who bothered to look. And it was a catastrophic failure. All right. And then, of course, there's the fan reaction. You know, I'm not talking about Star Wars fans. I'm talking about the shill fan reactions. When the news of the cancellation broke, we saw the usual suspects on social media, those who convinced themselves that they represent the true Star Wars fan base. And I had a few of them in the comments, too. And they're the ones who put their pronouns in their bio, wave their identity politics flags, and shout down anyone who dares to disagree with them, and then block them on social media. And these people often complete and have a total meltdown. Why? Because they've gaslit themselves into believing that Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland and Kathleen Kennedy was made for a huge, diverse audience, when in reality, it was made for a very small, very niche group of people. You know what? And this is the crux of the matter right here. The Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland and Kathleen Kennedy was designed to cater to a specific ideology, the woke ideology, if you will, a specific world view. And Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland and Kathleen Kennedy was more about pushing a woke agenda than telling a good story or respecting the rich legacy of the Star Wars universe. And that's why Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland failed. Not because of, as they call it, review bombing, but not because of toxic fans, but because it was simply didn't resonate with the majority of the Star Wars fans. All right. And those fans are the George Lucas fans. But let's get back to the woke media for a moment. You see, woke media has been complicit in this failure from the start. And woke media are the ones who tried to gaslight the public into believing that Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy was a success. Now, the woke media also published different articles praising the show, ignoring the overwhelming negative feedback from actual fans. And also the woke media even ran with headlines like Disney let the toxic dude bros win, or the Acolyte's cancellation is a huge mistake for Star Wars. But what they conveniently ignored was the cold, hard truth. Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland and Kathleen Kennedy was a financial and critical disaster. And that's no lie right there. And the excuses the woke media made, man, it's been unbelievable. And some in the woke media claim that Disney canceled Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland and Kathleen Kennedy because of, as they call, bigotry, because of sexism, because the show was led by a woman and featured people of color. But let's be real here. Star Wars has always had diversity from the very beginning. Okay, and we've seen strong women, we've seen people of color, and nobody had a problem with that. So what's different now? Because Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy, it wasn't about diversity. It was about identity politics, and that's what turned people off. Plain and simple. And look at the other successful shows out there. House of Dragon, for example. That show has a strong female leads on people of color, gay characters, and yet it was massive success, at least season 1. Why? Because it was respected its audience. It told a compelling story. It didn't even try to lecture its viewers or push a political agenda. Now, it was everything Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy was not. Only season 1. And that's something that the woke media will never understand. And also, let's not forget the lies, the lies the woke media told. You see, the woke media tried to convince you that Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy was breaking streaming records. Woke media everywhere told you Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy was dominating the charts. But think back, when we looked at the actual data before, when I reported it, the truth was clear. It wasn't even close. The Star Wars Acolyte by Leslye Headland and Kathleen Kennedy had the lowest viewership of any Disney Star Wars project, and it fell off the streaming charts completely within weeks. So what's the big takeaway here? Well, it's quite simple. Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy didn't deserve a second season in the first place, and it's a good thing it didn't get one. Now, the woke media can moan and cope all they want, but the truth is the majority of Star Wars fans rejected Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy. And another thing, they also saw through the lies. They saw through the agenda, and they made their voices heard. And that's what I want you to remember also. The power is in your hands. It's in our hands. As fans, as consumers, we all have the ability to shape the future of entertainment. Now, when a show doesn't respect its audience, when it puts politics above storytelling, you have every right to reject it. And that's exactly what happened with Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy. All right. So let's go ahead, keep pushing for the kind of content that we want to see. The kind that respects the legacy of franchises like Star Wars, that puts story and character above all else. And let's hold the woke media accountable for the lies that they spread, So what do you all think about this? Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Also, be sure to include any additional thoughts you might have this particular topic. If you enjoy what I share in this video, go ahead, smash like button, share far wide across social media. Also, in the description, I do have a poll listed down there as well. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Be sure to smash the like button, share far wide across social media. And if you haven't done so already, you enjoyed all the content that I have made on YouTube, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification so that way you notify the future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.